Hi, my name is Christy. I am a middle school science teacher with almost 25 years experience in the classroom, and I have been successfully flipping my class for about 10 years now. Today, I want to talk to you about how I use the flipped classroom to better support my English language learners and my students with learning disabilities. The flipped classroom model is perfect for really helping those group of students. Remember, not all students are the same, and so we shouldn't be teaching them the same way. Classes should not be, and school should not be a one-size-fits-all, because every student is unique. Every student has different interests, has different challenges, and every student comes in with something different. So we should be, as best as possible, trying to teach differently to meet all these students' needs. Students could come in with a language barrier, or they might have some processing skills. They could have some computational skills, cognitive skills, or mechanical skills. So students can have difficulty in all these areas and more. So how do we reach them? How do we make sure that we are supporting them and that they're getting that basic information that they can then use to move forward? And again, the flipped classroom model is perfect for that. With our English language learners, first, they have to read or hear the information that's on the board or that's coming from your mouth. Then what they have to do is translate it into words in their home language in their head that they already know, and they have to then process what it means. If you've ever been to a foreign country, even if you've studied that language for years, it still takes you time to hear what the person is saying, translate it in your head, and process what it is they're trying to tell you. It's not quick. So they need more time for that, which means that they might be missing out on some key details and information if you are lecturing to the class as a whole. So when you're going up there and you're doing your slide presentation, the students are trying to take notes, your English language learners are having more difficulty going through it. You might want to go fast with the information. You're thinking this should not take that long for them to do. But remember, they have to translate everything into their home language, process it. And it's made even more difficult if on top of the language barriers, they also have a learning disability. And you might not even know they have a learning disability, especially if they are new to the country, if they are still really in the basic understanding of that English language. You might not know that they, on top of having a language barrier, have a processing disability also. With our learning disability students, again, they might have difficulty processing the information. It's going to take them longer to read what's on the board. And if you're trying to talk and they have to read at the same time, and you're talking about other things or examples, having those two things to focus on at one time can be extremely difficult for some of our students. They have to sit there and they're trying to read and they're trying to comprehend what's on the board. At the same time, they're trying to listen to you and hear and understand what you're saying. Doing both of those is kind of challenging for some of our students. And they might also have difficulty writing it down. They might be able to read it, they might be able to understand what you're saying, but then for them to take it from their head and put it onto paper, that's where they might have their difficulty. So their notes are not going to be complete because it might take them a long time to actually write that information down. Because it's taking longer, again, they don't get everything that they need, and they might miss out on some key details and information. So for these type of students, your language learners, your students with learning disabilities, you might be on slide 3 and they're still trying to figure out what you were saying and what was the information was on slide 1 of your presentation, of your lecture, right? So you're going to look at their notes, and if you compare their notes to one of your advanced students, you're going to see that there's a lot of gaps, which means they've missed a lot of information. They might even miss half of your lecture, half of that basic information that they're going to need in order to apply, which means they can't even apply or practice that information because they haven't gotten it all in the first place, right? The flipped classroom model helps with all of that, because with the flipped classroom model, the students move at their own pace. They don't have to try and listen to you, read that information, and process it. They can pause the video. All that information is there. So they can first listen to you speak on the video about the information, then they can pause it, they can read the information, they can take time to write it down. So with these students, yeah, it might take them 2 to 3 times as long as other students to get through a flipped lesson. But the benefit is that when all your students come into class the next day, every single one has all that information because they are able to pause the videos, because they can go back and rewatch the videos, right? And they don't have to worry about slowing the class down. The students who are struggling, most of them will not let you know. They will not sit there and raise their hand and say, can you please repeat that? Can you slow down? Because they don't want other students to know that they are struggling, right? So they put on a front. They make it seem like they're writing everything down, all that information, but they're missing a lot of that information. So with the flipped classroom model, they don't have to worry about standing out and having other students know that they need more time. They don't have to worry about being embarrassed or being that student that slows everyone down so they can get all that information. Even students that will stop you and raise their hand to ask you to repeat it or to slow down or go back, right? Those students there, they still don't want to be that student that is the last, that takes the longest. With the flipped classroom model, no one has to know. No one has to know if they took 15 minutes to watch that video instead of 5 minutes to watch the video, or 30 minutes, right? No one has to know. They can go at their own pace. And again, they get all the details and all the information. They are no longer missing out on what they need. They're no longer only getting bits and pieces. Instead, they get everything they need to move forward and start applying. So all that basic information that they might have missed if they were doing a lecture and then having to go home and practice, which they can't practice at home because they didn't get it all in the first place. Now they have all that information, they've got it. Now when they come into your classroom, they can practice with you. So what does that give them? It gives them more confidence, because now when they come into class, they're not unsure of what these steps were or what the vocabulary was or what the concept was. They know, and they have it in their notes right there. Their notes are complete and ready to go. It also gives them better understanding, because again, they're not getting bits and pieces and trying to at home then put it together and practice. Like if they're doing math, they're not trying to sit there and, they miss steps. And so now they're solving everything wrong, right? They have a better understanding. They know how to do it. And when they're in the class with you, they can practice. And if they get lost or if they make a mistake, you're right there with them to guide them and clarify any misconceptions, right? They are going to be more engaged. And they're more engaged because they've got that basic information, because they come with a better understanding, because they have more confidence. The more confidence a student has, the more engaged they're going to be in your classroom, the more willing they're going to raise their hand or answer a question when called upon, because they are not afraid of not knowing the information. They're not afraid of not knowing what the vocabulary word was or what the concept was or what the step was. No, they have it all there. So they are going to be more engaged. So again, for your language learners, for your students with learning disabilities, really the flipped classroom model is perfect for really helping those students, to give them that extra support to differentiate and meet their actual individual needs. So that way they can feel more confident in your room, they can be more engaged, they have more understanding. If you really want to help your language learners and your students with learning disabilities, then you really should look into flipping your class and starting with the flipped classroom model. Now, if you want to get started and you're still confused of how to actually do it though, what it's actually going to look like, then go ahead and head to my website. I have a free guide for you that's going to take you step by step to how to flip your class, what it's going to look like, plus the strategies to help make it successful. I'll put the link in the comments for you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for watching another Adventures in ISTEM and Beyond video. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more Adventures in ISTEM and Beyond videos. For more ideas on how to incorporate science, technology, and skills for life into your classroom, go to adventuresinistem.com.